Hello and welcome to FxWB New Beginnings podcast with Michelle. This has been a great run. Believe it or not, FxWB New Beginnings podcast on the 16th of September would be a year old. Crazy. Yay!
Yay!
Something that was born out of I not actually knowing where to go with it. It has blossomed into a great opportunity for people to share their gifts and talents with others and to help others know how they can enhance their well-being through many ways, whether it is building relationships, working in communities, finding or cultivating your purpose, understanding your health is your wealth, working along with being able to work along with understanding what security is, not just security in finances, but security in God, your maker, and becoming one with all in which you need to do. So we at Functional Wellbeing New Beginnings Podcast are very happy to have you listening in all the time, sharing your thoughts on the things that we have talked about, and we always happy to be here to serve you guys. So thank you so much for listening in to Functional Wellbeing New Beginnings Podcast. We hope to always bring the things that you are interested in to help to enhance your well-being. And today is not different in any way at all. We are coming back to finances here at Functional Wellbeing New Beginnings Podcast. We are talking finances with Miss Kristle Brooks. She has been with us since April. We have been talking each month. She has been holding a seminar in Indianapolis, Indiana here. And each month, she's talked about many different facets of finances. So her seminar is called Financial 101, and it's trying to engage people to understand aspects of finances. For her, she talks a lot about life insurance, but she wanted people to know more things in and around finances. So one of the things I could remember is looking at your health and the cost of life insurance. However, I want Kristle to share with us all the areas, just give us a synopsis of all the areas you talked about from April through July, and then we will jump into the topic of this month of August, looking at estate planning. All right. Hi and welcome, Kristle, back to New Beginnings Podcast. How are you today?
Hey, Michelle, I'm doing good. How are you today?
I am doing well. I'm blessed. And I'm happy to be here with you. So share with us a little bit more about what you have talked about in your seminar, Finances 101.
Okay, well, the first seminar was about the value of having life insurance and banking. I feel like when you talk about finances, the first step in getting your finances together is dealing with banks and knowing how to make the banks have a good relationship with the banks. And then talking about the value of life insurance, because a lot of people think it's not necessary. They don't understand why it's needed, but I wanted to give them the value of why they should have it and why it's necessary to protect their family. The second session was about credit, mortgage, and the cost of life insurance. You know, we hear different things about credit, and when you're getting it from people who are on the outside that don't do it, you don't know what's true and what's false. So you need to get the expert in there to talk about it. Mm-hmm. Then why not learn about how you get a mortgage? There's so many different programs out there to help you become a homeowner. But if you don't have that connection to the right person, again, you're going to think it's not for you. And lastly, we talk about how expensive life insurance is. Well, understand how that cost of a policy comes together. It's not just because it's, you know, you're too old or this policy costs too much. There's other factors that go into it. The third session,
Yes.
which you were part of the third session, was focused on our physical health, our mental health, and our finances. We don't get how those three things intertwine with each other. If you're stressed, it's going to start with the mental, then it's going to go to the physical, and then, it can affect you getting life insurance. That stress, that mental stress and that physical stress is coming from not understanding how to make your finances work for you. So I wanted to tie that all in together. Our fourth session was about family law, financial advising, and life insurance products. Now, people can say family law. What does that have to do with your finances? If you get divorced, it changes your finances. If you pay child support, it changes your finances. If you receive child support and it stops, that changes your finances. So you got to understand how even the smallest little thing in life can affect your finances. And then financial advising, i.e. retirement planning. We have to know what retirement accounts are out there. It's not just your 401k. You got to know that there's taxable retirement income. There's non-taxable retirement income. Taxable is 401k, IRA. Non-taxable is life insurance. And then what products are out there for life insurance? We don't realize there are so many products. Every carrier doesn't even offer the same type of product. So you may be looking for one thing and meet with somebody. They may not offer it. And you may not realize I don't have to go with them. I can go with somebody else who may have what I'm looking for. So that is the synopsis of the 4 sessions that we've had. I've loved doing them, and I can't wait to create my next event.
Yes. This is absolutely phenomenal because you just talked a mouthful of the things that are necessary when it comes to life insurance, whether it's as an individual or a family or different, are you in different stages of your life?
Right.
Or even understanding your income levels, how that impacts your insurance and the different ways to, secure life insurance, as well as, looking at your credit score. If you're at that stage of your life when needing a mortgage, all these things impact your finances. And being able to, I don't think Kristle is here trying to tell you need to know all of this to be able to make a decision. She's telling you all of this so that you could find somebody who is knowledgeable to help you.
Yes, bringing those resources to people, because if you don't know, we're going to shut everything down. But you got to connect with somebody in the financial industry that's going to be your friend. You should make them your best friend to guide you through whatever situation you go through. Even if you don't do anything, if you don't need what they're offering, they can still help connect you to somebody else.
Yes. So networking and learning from people that are very much talented and know what they're doing in the field that you're wanting to get help in. In this case, we're talking about finances. That is what you need. They may not be providing you with what exactly you need, but they can find resources for you. So you don't feel like you're just getting in contact with somebody who doesn't know what they're doing versus they don't even know who you are. And you already have a relationship being built if you already know someone who could direct you to somebody else. So we here at Functional New Beginners Podcast, we want you to understand, get help in any field that you need.
Right.
Because we all do not know everything. That's why we have so many other people that we can relate to get information. Right. So that you can be informed to make the right decision.
That's right. That's the whole goal. Get informed so that way you know, hey, this is the way I can go, or I got a multitude of options I can choose from to solve a problem. I just got to pick the right one that best fits me.
Right.
Hello, New Beginnings podcast listeners. I'm Aaron, and I'm the $100 guy because I get people rebates of at least $100 per year on their prescriptions. Here's how it works. Every time you fill a prescription, you get a rebate check for $25. It doesn't matter which medication, it doesn't matter how much it costs, it doesn't matter if your current insurance already covers it or not. Every time you fill a prescription, you get $25, up to $600 per year. So call or text me, Aaron, the $100 guy, at 260-467-9550 for details.
Right. So this week, Kristle is having another seminar here in Indy. And we are going to hear about estate planning. This is a big one, guys.
Yes.
We are going to learn about estate planning and how life insurance creates generational wealth. Wow. So estate planning and generational wealth. Those two things put together is a winner.
Yes. I'm excited about this session.
Yeah, if you didn't know that, now you know. If you can have the right tools, and in this case, we're talking about estate planning and generational wealth, that combination can help not just you, but your legacy, your children, and your children's children even, if you want to. All right. So please, Kristle, if you want to share a little bit on who's presenting about estate planning and a little bit more about how the combination works, we would love to hear.
Okay. Well, this session, I'm co-hosting with Aarti Wolenski, who's an estate attorney with Wolenski Law. She is a phenomenal estate attorney who cares about the people and about the community. So I wanted to partner up. I like collaborating with different people. And again, finances is not just dealing with people in finance, but dealing with people that outside, but still what they do ties into the financial tree. So when you think about life insurance and estate planning, we'll start with life insurance. You're leaving money. So you got to set up an estate plan to determine how people who you have set up as your beneficiary is going to get the money. Let's say the beneficiary is your children and they're minors, and you're like, you know what, I don't want them to get all this money right now. Well, your estate plan is what you need to set up how they will get the money. Or even if you're leaving money for a caregiver for your minor children, and you don't want them to get that whole lump sum, because even though you know that they may take good care of your kids, they may not have the financial mindset to not spend on the money, because you can be leaving them a nice sizable amount of money. So again, you can use estate planning to set all that up to where if you want them to get a monthly stipend to ensure that your children are taken care of, you can. Or, let's say you have a mortgage and you're leaving money to pay off the mortgage, so your children don't have to leave the home. They know their caregiver, which could be the other parent or family, can move into the house and take care of their kids, and the lifestyle don't change. But everything has to be set up with a estate plan. And it's not just about wills, it's about trust, setting up the proper documentation for guardianship, for children with special needs, medical forms. There's so much that goes into it that you can't leave anything off the table. Even if you think, I don't have anything. Family will argue over a broke down washer and dryer, or even grandma's dish towel, because grandma said she was going to leave it to me. So it's important to set things in place to ensure what you want, your final wishes, are adhered to by your family. And then when you think about generational wealth and you think about life insurance, it's all created through estate planning. So that's how they all tie together. Even if you own real estate, you still got to have a will or a trust set in place to pass that wealth down through estate planning.
Right. Well, what I want you to describe for me, if it's possible, tell the people the difference between a trust and a will.
Now, I'm not an estate attorney, so if I mess up, don't hold against me. I'm not Kristle Brooks Esquire. I'm just Kristle Brooks.
Love it.
To me, a will is more like a simple form of, I got a card that I want to pass down, or I may have jewelry that I want to pass down, because there's probate. And people have to understand about probate courts and how that can affect you when you pass on. So a will is more so, I guess, protection for probate, Whereas a trust can be used, one, to protect your assets and prevent you from having to pay certain taxes because your assets are protected. Like, people don't realize when you pass away and you're leaving wealth, there's taxes that have to be paid, such as estate taxes, inheritance. So you probate taxes, you want to think about what taxes do I have to pay and how can I avoid it at all costs. Some people use a trust to minimize their tax liability. And then when you own property, in order for it not to have gone into probate, a trust is good. But one of the biggest things that a trust are good for, I say, is protecting your asset if you have a long-term illness. And you can do that by two ways: having a trust and getting a long-term care policy. Because what happens is, let's say you own a nice sizable amount of wealth and you get sick and you don't have a long-term care policy in place. Well, people don't realize if you want to get help from the government, you have to do what they call a 5-year spend down. So they want you to spend your wealth that you have before they will step in to help you. The only way to protect your assets from that is having a long-term care policy. Now, there's two ways you can have a long-term care policy. You can add it as a rider to a permanent policy, or you can have a standalone policy. And some people may say, why do I have to have a permanent policy to have long-term care? Because a term policy is temporary. That means after so many years, you may either let the policy go, or if you renew it, it may keep on going up. And as you get older and that cost goes up, you can let it go. Whereas a permanent policy, that's for your whole life. So they know that you're not going to let it go. It's not going to stop at a certain amount of time. So that's where they're going to add that rider option onto that policy. But it's good to know these things because, again, if your goal is to pass wealth, you got to protect that wealth in case of the what ifs. So that's the difference to me between trust and will. And Aarti, she's going to do a phenomenal job explaining the difference. So again, I'm not Kristle Brooks Esquire. This is just my interpretation of it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I think you did a great job.
Thank
you. We have to remember. So she used some terms that would be great to ask questions about, things like trust and will and probate. So these are words that you want to know what the meaning is, not just by looking it up, but looking at it in context to what it is you're doing. And how Kristle aligned that to the types of insurance you need. And I know she's going to go much more in depth with respect to that, because just that little bit of information there, I was like, I never knew that, with term versus permanent versus a long-term rider. And guys, this is a lot of information.
Yes.
That you don't always know about.
No.
You have to sit with someone to get this explanation. And it may not take one day. It takes time to understand this information. So when, what I would love to ask Kristle, when you sit with a client, what would be some of the things that you may ask a client to do, or what are the things you may ask them about to be able to try to set them up with life insurance in general? What are some of the things you might ask?
Well, one of the things we first have to ask is what their financial plan is, because my goal is to find the gaps in their financial plan. Because a lot of people think, okay, I set up my financial plan to decide how I'm going to accumulate wealth, and they leave it at that. They never think about the what ifs. What if I get sick or injured and can't work for a little while? Or what if it's a long-term thing that I may need to go to a nursing facility, assisted living, or home health care? Or do I even have anything in place for if something was to happen to me and I pass away? People think, oh, well, I got life insurance through my job, so I'm okay. No, you're not. You don't control it, and it may not even be enough to cover everything. So you have to think about, you just got it through your job. You got to think about, I got a mortgage. Is this enough to cover my mortgage? How much of my income do I want to replace if something was to happen to me, especially if I'm the main breadwinner of my family? How do I maintain that? The household lifestyle. What bills do I need to pay off? Do I want to prepare for paying for my children's education. So you got to factor all that in. And those are the questions that I'm asking when we speak, because a lot of people just think, hey, I just want a policy. Okay, but what type of policy? Are you wanting to get a policy where it's going to accumulate cash, or do you just want something temporary? If you want something temporary, this is what's going to happen. You pay on it for a certain amount of time. After that, if you outlive that policy, you have two choices. You can convert it up to a permanent policy, or you can renew it. But at the time of renewal, your premium amount is going to go up based upon your age. So I have to give them the pros and the cons. It's not just, hey, this is a good thing about it. Let me tell you the good and the bad so you can make an informed decision. So I do more education than just saying, okay, here's a product. Here you go. Bye.
Yeah, we don't want those type of people. We don't want the people who just want to sell a policy, because at the end of the day, it's not for that individual, but it's for the family that is getting this policy, how it's going to affect them, the individual, and their family to come, or whatever happens in the long run. And when you shared one of the last episodes that we had, one of the things that I could always remember is understanding that when you're doing a policy, it's not a time fixed thing, in the sense of you have to think of the what ifs. And if it is at this point in time, you can only purchase a certain amount because of your levels of income at this stage, it can change. You can add to your policy, get a different type of policy, but you have to talk to someone to be able to understand how you could do this transfer, how you could get the best out of the policy. So if you're 20 versus you're 40, you might need different things at this time of your life.
Correct. And the thing is, when it comes to getting a policy, your life insurance agent, advisor, or whatever the role they play, they should be wanting to build a long-lasting relationship with you. One of the things I do with my clients, I call them every 6 months, check in, and at first I just used to do it over the phone. Now I'm going to start doing it face-to-face. So let's sit down and say, hey, let's look at your goals. What's changed? Or you know what? I may have a product that best suits your needs. I put you on a term initially. Let's see what else is out there that you don't have to worry about that term coming up, especially if they're getting older. Like, that's something that really sticks out in my mind, is making sure I'm doing the seniors due justice of putting them in the right product, not just putting them into a policy, but putting them with the right policy where they don't have to worry about the bells and whistles, or this policy is going to end soon, it's going to go up, and then it's going to be unaffordable for me, and I can't afford to keep the policy. So you can get more than one policy, especially as your income changes. You can start off where you got a term policy because you only made $10 an hour. As we're starting to get near to the end of that term, you're now making $30 per hour. You now own a home. You're now married. You now have kids. We need to have a conversation about that. But like I said, before we even get to you making $30 an hour, I'm still going to be checking in to make sure that your plan hasn't changed or your situation hasn't changed, because we're always transitioning through life.
Yes. We are always transitioning through life. It's a life cycle. It's a beginning and there's an end. In between there, you're going through what it is, whatever part of the life cycle you are at. So we need to know that nothing is a constant. The only constant there is change.
Right. That's true. That's true. You have to, and finances is something that you're going to be constantly learning, because like you said, it's constantly changing. So we can't say, oh, well, I got my plan done, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
You look up next month, they'll be talking about some new product. You be like, what? Dang, I should have added that. Can I add it? And like I tell people, don't ever think just because something new has come out, you can't change your plan. You can change your plan as many times as you want to. That's why it's a customized plan based on your needs.
Right.
It's Aaron, the $100 guy again, because I want you to meet one of my clients, Natalie.
Hello.
She also happens to be my wife.
Since 2012.
Natalie, are you on any prescriptions?
Yes, I am.
And how much was I able to save you?
Over $300 a year.
And how does it work?
I pick up my medicine from Walgreens, I upload the receipts to your website, and a few weeks later, a rebate check arrives in the mail.
And it's that easy. Call or text me, Aaron, the $100 guy, at 260-467-9550 for details.
Right. So we want you guys to understand, if you're in the business of needing insurance or understanding finances, you need to get with someone who is knowledgeable of the area.
Yes.
Once the person is knowledgeable and they can direct you, I think that would be a great avenue for you to be able to get the things that is necessary for your particular lifestyle.
Yes.
When it comes to life insurance or trust or will or whatever it might be. And not just for you, but for your family, because guess what? Your kids need life insurance too. They getting older. We have out there, when they want to go to college, instead of spending money on or trying to get a loan or, because we know how those interests are. Instead of waiting till then, let's try to think, okay, how can we save? What is an avenue we can use to save money for our kids to help with going to school? So guess what? We might have to start 10 years before that age. Yes.
Right. Yes. That's what I look at finance. Finances is always about planning. We know when we have kids, they may want to go to college. So why not start planning sooner? When they're young, to make sure we have the funds in place if they want to go to college, if they want to choose to become a business owner, or even to start on their retirement. We think retirement has to start planning when we start working. No, we can start it at any time. It's not a time limit. We can start it at any time to put ourselves in the best position to retire early, or if we choose to work until we're 65. Have the lifestyle that we want, but we have to change our mindset to look at finances as a tool for planning. Like me, I'm self-employed. So one thing I had to do with my finances is, as I get paid, I used to say, well, how am I going to do this? I don't know how my income's going to come in. I said, well, you know what? Let me change my mindset. If I got money, take some certain amount, pay my bills for the month, whatever income I get for the rest of the month, utilize that in my bill account to prepare for next month. So that way I'm not wondering how next month's bills are going to get paid. I've already planned and set money aside for it. If I want to take a trip, I need to start planning and set aside from it, and not having everything going in one account. You need to separate your bank accounts. You need to have a bill account, an everyday account. I'm going to open up one for a travel account. So that way, if I want to travel, I'm not intermingling my money with my bills, my everyday accounts, my savings account. There's a specific account that I'm going to have set up for travel. So in essence, planning for your finances is important to control your spending and to keep yourself from going through financial hardships.
Yes. And for you to be able to do that in an efficient and effective way, you need to get help with it. Only if you're already an accountant or business finance person, you can do that. But I like to say the coaches need coaches too. So you always need direction. There is always a need for direction.
Yes, I'm constantly learning. People are giving me little nuggets, and I'm thankful for those little nuggets. Even as I'm learning how to teach people about financial literacy, it's helping me change and do things different with my own finances. So even though we teach it, we're in the industry, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be learning either. How can we teach you if we're not learning and keeping up to date on what's going on?
Right. Thank you so much, Kristle, for sharing all the gems, because we learned so much from you since April to August. And it's important that it's a lot of information, guys, but you need to still go to that person who is knowledgeable of financial literacy and seek the help out from them so that you could get directed in the right way. Not somebody who just trying to sell your policy, but
Right.
someone who can direct your finances and help you understand where you should be and where you should be going.
Right. Very
Right.
true. Very true.
Yay. Thank you so much, Kristle, for the
Thank
opportunity
you.
to interview you. We are happy here at New Beginnings Podcast having you on all these months. I don't know what we'll do without you.
I know we need to make some more events. I love being on here. Me and you we've collaborated, we've become friends. That's what it's all about.
Yes, so true. And we want you guys to know that it's a community. We are building a community here. And when you have a community of like-minded people and they're positive, guess what? That is also enhancing your well-being.
Yeah.
We here want to enhance your well-being through the community we've been building, as well as through understanding your finances. Kristle Brooks, we thank you so much for being on here.
Welcome.
And we thank you guys for always listening in. Share your questions, your thoughts. If you need information about Kristle, we would share it on the YouTube channel or on Spotify. But Kristle, just give people a little bit of where they could find you, like social media and stuff. Where can they find you?
Okay, well, you can give me a call first at 317-331-1213. My social media handles, Facebook is Kristle Brooks Investments. Let me spell Kristle for you because it's spelled different. K-R-I-S, T is in Tom. I'm sorry. S is in Sam, T is in Tom, L-E. I forgot how to spell my own name. And that's also my handle on Instagram, and I'm on LinkedIn. It's just Kristle Brooks. So I would love to sit down and talk with you, to be an edu seller to you. I educate, and then the product will sell itself. But it's my passion, and I love being in the community and talking to people about protecting their families and finances.
Great. We are so welcome to have you, and we would definitely tap in once we need help and we're in the position to get life insurance or any products that has to deal with finances for our family. We would tap in with you. Thank you so much, Kristle.
Yes, thank you. You're very welcome. I enjoy being on here.
Great. This has been New Beginnings Podcast with Michelle, and today, Kristle. We will talk to you soon.